What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. And today we're diving deep into the forgotten relic of the early gaming world. This is the MB Vectrex. Now, this little gem from the 1982 wasn't your average boxy Atari or chunky NES. Released by Milton Bradley, or MB as we know him now, the Vectrex offered a completely unique gaming experience with its sleek design, innovative controller and groundbreaking vector graphics technology. So whether you're a seasoned retro gamer or simply curious about the gaming history, buckle up for a deep dive into the fascinating world of the MB Vectrex. Alright then, let's talk about the brawn behind the beauty. Specs wise, the Vectrex wasn't the most powerful console of its time. It packed a Motorola 6809 CPU and a modest 1.6 kilobytes of RAM. Yep, you heard that, 1.6 kilobytes of RAM, and relied on those unique vector graphics for its visuals. Compared to the Atari 2600 or the emerging home computers of the time, it might seem underpowered on paper. But remember, limitations often breed creativity, so developers had to be resourceful and squeeze the most out of the Vectrex's hardware, resulting in some truly innovative game design of the time. So the Vectrex itself obviously didn't include any colour graphics or anything like that because it was purely vector graphics. So the clever game designers of the time included these overlay cards that you inserted into the screen to give extra functionality such as button instructions and also colour to your game. So let's just jump back to the 80s for 30 seconds and look at the Vectrex advert of the time. And this advert sort of emphasised the small controller, the 4-button layout, the colour overlays, and also the cartridge, which was, even compared to nowadays, very quick at loading. The only sort of splash screen you got was the Vectrex loading screen, the title of the game, and then the game was up and running. And don't forget the portability with the handle on the machine itself. So the MB Vectrex for an 80s console was full of innovations, from the brightness controller on the back where you could increase the intensity of them vector graphics, to the cartridge input on your right hand side. On the front, once you flip down the controller, you had player 1 and player 2 ports for your 2 joystick games. You had your reset push button, and to the right of that you had your on-off switch, which also acted as your volume controller for the small speaker which was built in. Obviously no headphone jacks on this particular console. Okay, so I think it's about time we had a look at some of the games that I own for my MB Vectrex. Officially, there were 28 games released for the MB Vectrex, and there is an ongoing homebrew community that have released stuff in the more recent years, up until 2021, I think. So that active community is still going on, and if you are thinking of getting into the retro console, and particularly the Vectrex console, yes, you can collect all official games up to 28. Some of them are light pen that require the light pen, which I don't have. But there is 28 games to collect, and then obviously you can start collecting the homebrew stuff as well. And Spike, that you can see playing on the screen at the moment, was unique, and it was the first cartridge game to have voice synthesized onto a cartridge. So that was another good selling point for MB Vectrex and the Spike game itself. Okay, so the next game up is Armour Attack, and this was one of my favourite games back in the day. I mean, as you can see in the description there, we think of it as a mix between sort of asteroids and combat. You basically drove a jeep around a maze, firing on tanks. I mean, the point with this was you had to sort of creep around the corners when you get into the later levels, but in 2-player mode it was really something else in the time, because there's not many games that allowed you to do what this was doing. You had also choppers flying in, and the more you got in the levels, the more frequent the tanks, the faster they got, and the more frequent the choppers come at you. So what I would say was, if you are thinking of buying an MB Vectrex and sort of starting off with your collection, I would say start off with Armour Attack. It is one of them games that you can play even now, and when I'd finished this video I went back to it and I had a good gaming session on it. The next up is Cosmic Chasm, where you navigate your way around a map that is presented to you as a level. You have a drill, a shield and a thrust, and you can shoot at the enemies, and you're basically working your way through a maze. It's something a little bit different for this type of console, and well worth the investment if you are investing in an MB Vectrex. Okay, next up, obviously we've got Armor Attack on the right, which I've already spoke about, but we've got Bedlam on the left hand side. Now Bedlam is a bit of a take on I would say Tempest that used to be on the Ataris, where you're drawn shapes, triangles, and as you can see now, different type of shapes. Your ship is central and you shoot the enemies as they come in from the peaks on the shape. You can also, the shape shrinks, it changes shape, it spins, and it is an addictive game. And I know it seems simple in the terms of what we have now, even on mobile phones and stuff like that. But again, another one that's worth investing in, as well as Armor Attack, which I spoke about earlier. So these two games are definitely worth a look at. There's obviously got the Mindstorm, which is included in the actual console, so you don't need your cartridge to play Mindstorm, and that's something very similar, shooting spaceship that you can thrust and navigate around a minefield. So it's just another form of asteroids, but yeah, Mindstorm is a very good game, as well as the Bedlam. And I'm just going to finish on Scrabble, and if you're a fan of the 80s arcade scene, you'll recognise this as Defender, and I'd say this and Armor Attack are my two favourite games. Very good, got some longevity to them, and you can play them for a good while and keep racking that score up. It's one of them games where you track along. As you can see, you drop your missiles, and you only get two missiles at first to start. You get 2 bullets to shoot, or lasers to shoot out the front, and as you progress on the level, things start to ramp up. You get more bullets and missiles available to you. So a very good game, and a very good game to invest in, and then are sort of recommendations if you're first setting off with your MB Vectrex collection. So there you have it, that's my overview of my personal MB Vectrex that I've had since new from the 80s. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do hit me with any comments below, they are always appreciated. Please subscribe to my channel and hit the old like button. Thanks again for watching CraftyDoctor on YouTube, and hopefully I will see you in the next video.